And one of the reasons, to kind of segue into what I wanted to talk about next, this Christian, absolute MAGA Christian Nazi who is now the Speaker of the House. I don't know if you caught it, but when he, after he was voted unanimously by the nutfucks in the Christian Fascist Party in the House to be their new Speaker, this inexperienced jerkwad, when he walked up to the podium to accept the gavel from Hakeem Jeffries, he laid on the podium to his right his Bible. Did you see that? He's one of those. He carries his Bible, and I don't know if you noticed it. I did. All the little Post-its that he had stuck in the Bible that would indicate where his favorite verse of the moment might be located. That's the Speaker of the House. Mike Johnson, 51, from Louisiana. Amen. He is second in line after the president to be the president if something happens to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. He's next. And this rancid, idiotic white man prick doesn't even believe that Joe Biden is president. He would rather be on his knees in front of Donald Trump, relieving Trump's anxiety, one way or the other, than he would to accept the truth that 60 court cases said, listen, there's no there, boys. Get the fuck out of my courtroom. Joe Biden is the president. Steve Schmidt, in his column, The Warning, the headline on his column today, "The Era of the Handmaid Speaker has begun." The reference to The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, right? You're familiar with it. This is what Steve wrote, and it's not that long. I'm going to share it with you. He says there's a new Speaker of the United States House of Representatives. His name is Mike Johnson. He's 51 years old, from Louisiana, and he's materially different from Kevin McCarthy. Perhaps the best way to understand this point is by appreciating how cynicism can fuel fanaticism. Kevin believed in nothing but power. Mike Johnson sees power as a means to impose his fanaticism. Now, let me digress from what Steve Schmidt wrote for a moment. I don't think Steve is going to add Christian fanaticism, but that is precisely what this is, which I will show you with your own eyes and ears momentarily. Back to what Steve wrote. How should we think about and measure the temperature of the extremism that is swirling? Should it be by the temperature of the rhetoric, the intimations toward violence, or perhaps even the violence itself? Maybe one measurement should be the proximity of a man who believes you shouldn't get to pick the President of the United States with a vote in an election, but he should decide how you live in the bedroom. He is a legitimate authoritarian, and now he is second in line to the one office that could destroy the American Republic if properly weaponized. The era of the handmaid speaker has begun. The segregationists have sent forward one of their descendants, polished up a bit. What a disgrace. What a disaster. It's a good thing that the American people can still do something about it. Vote them out. In the meantime, enjoy learning how this fanatic feels about, say, my gay sister and her partner. I know one thing for sure. I know who the better people are. I react to a very disturbing survey released by Public Religion Research Institute and the Brookings Institution, showing that nearly a quarter of Americans believe they may need to resort to political violence in order to save the country. I lay out why, ultimately, there is one person to blame for this finding: Donald Trump. Boy, is that the truth. You know, one question that keeps eating away at me, I swear to God it does. Why didn't the American public listen to what Hillary Clinton said in the run-up to the 2016 election? Why? I mean, in the key states where it would have made a difference in the electoral segregationist, racist, Klan-style electoral college voting. Because Hillary did win by 2 or 3 million votes, the popular vote. But that doesn't mean nothing. I mean, that doesn't mean anything. Well, remember what your mama used to say, or your grandma, one of the two. Now, if you don't listen to what I'm telling you, you really are going to pay the penalty. You better listen to what I'm telling you. I know. You better listen. And what always happened, Truth Seeker, when you didn't listen or when I didn't listen? I know what happened in my family. My mother or my grandmother told me for sure, by God, for sure, something was going to happen as a consequence of my actions if I took a certain action. It always did. We have had so many warnings about what is going to happen as we continue to drift down this, not drift, run headlong down this corrupted road of political and religious fascism. I mean, we've been told over and over again what's happening, going to happen to life on Earth if we don't do something about CO2 and other pollutants going into the atmosphere. But we don't give a fuck. We don't care because we keep doing it. Okay. So yesterday, the Christian fascists in the House finally got their putrid asses together and selected Mike Johnson as the new speaker. Now, a little bit about this guy. First of all, he's got a very low profile. Who the fuck ever heard of him? Well, what did, what's your name say? The senator from Maine. I can never remember her name because I get, you know what I'm talking about. She said she'd probably have to Google him. He was first elected to the House in 2016. The Trump MAGA tidal wave that put a president in the White House who did not get the majority of the popular vote. Anyway, Mike Johnson, in his short-lived career so far in the U.S. House, he previously served as a GOP deputy whip, which is a junior leadership position that was comparable to hall monitor when you were in high school. He has spent most of his working career as an attorney for Christian fascist religious advocacy groups. Oh, it gets worse. Before he came to the U.S. Congress, he had what Judd Legum at Popular Information calls a brief but eventful tenure as a member of the Louisiana legislature. So Judd put together some information that we should know about this fascist prick. Now that he has gone from, like Trump, from obscurity, even Trump was a phony-ass television star, wasn't a greasy bastard. But Johnson has gone from nothing to one of the most powerful political positions in this country. Speaker of the House? Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.